In today's video, I want to introduce you to the new Liquid Elements A4500 Pro. This is their brushless battery-powered unit. I've actually had a decent amount of time using this now. I wanted to kind of really get my head around this thing using it so I can give you my honest opinion. And we're also going to be comparing it to 3 other polishers in the same market. Again, we're going battery-powered, 15mm orbit, 5-inch backing plate to see how this thing stacks up to the competition. So for the comparison today, I have the Liquid Elements lined up with the other 3, the Milwaukee, the Flex 24 volt, and the Rupes. And we're gonna be testing them, seeing how they compare. We're gonna be looking at overall design length, how much clearance from battery to panel they have. We're also gonna be looking at the overall weight and the vibration, which is the #1 thing to me, the vibration of the unit, to see which one's the most comfortable to use. Now, really quickly, I just want to give you some anecdotal notes from my user experience of using this machine. First of all, runtime is fantastic. I did not measure it out, but I can get a lot of work time done on one battery. Now, the kit that this thing comes with actually includes the polisher itself, the backing plate, 2 5-amp-hour batteries, and a battery charger. So with that, you can get a ton of work done, like I said, and the good thing is that they actually share the Makita battery platform. So if you want more batteries and you're already a Makita person, you could throw those on there, or you can just run to your local hardware store and pick up some Makita batteries, and then you have unlimited runtime of this thing. Now, the charger itself seems to be pretty generic to me. Nothing crazy here, just pretty simple design. I will state that I have used this along with the DIY detail battery charger, which has a fan system in it and everything. Let me grab that for you. Because the DIY detail batteries also run off that Makita battery platform. Apparently it's like an open source battery platform, so other companies can use it. It's pretty smart on Makita's side, I think, because they're able to sell more batteries because of that, right? But basically you have these 2 chargers. The DIY detail one did charge the batteries faster than the one that comes with the Liquid Elements. I feel like they could have given you a slightly better charger, but this definitely gets the job done, no issue there. And that's where I want to go ahead and talk about the value of this thing, because for the kit, the price is really, really good for a battery-powered polisher. Now, I guess the direct competitor would be the ShineMate polishers, and I haven't used them because their distribution's a little bit, they're not readily available everywhere. I know Parks Car Care has them, but I haven't had a lot of time using those. But price-wise, they're about in the same range. So with that said, the Liquid Elements Polisher, I'm gonna go ahead and look at my notes here, comes in at a price for the kit, which again is polisher, 2 5-amp-hour batteries, and the charger, and a super nice bag, by the way, like really high quality zipper and everything, super nice bag, $469. Really, really good price. Now, just to talk about the competition really quickly, one of the staples that I've used in my business forever, the Milwaukee 15mm polisher. Now, this thing is great. I have an absolute ton of Milwaukee batteries. I love this thing for that reason, right? I never have to worry about batteries. This one though, tool only, comes in at $329, or you can buy it in a kit, which is $539, where you get a battery charger and 1 battery, not 2. So again, the Liquid Elements, tons and tons of value there. Moving on from there, we're going to be comparing it also to the Flex 24 volt system. They came out with these last year at SEMA. Really, really cool machines as well. They made it more compact, great gray colorway, 24 volt system, and these do have a lifetime warranty, so that's insane, right? That's really cool. This one though is coming in at a price of $649 for the kit, but the kit is polisher, 2 5-amp-hour batteries, and the charger, so more equivalent to what the Liquid Elements comes with for about $200, $180 more. And finally, guys, we have the Rupes polisher here. This thing is, I don't know, simplistically and overall design, the prettiest of them all, I think. Really compact design, lighter weight as well. But this unit, normally for the kit, which is the polisher itself, 2 5-amp-hour batteries, and the charger, $830. Now, you can find them online now on sale right around that $650 range, so it puts us right in that same price point as the Flex. So before we go ahead and get into the testing, guys, I just want to make a quick note. The Rupes is going to have limited testing. Let me show you why. So this machine did overheat. Rupes has an amazing warranty system, so I'm not worried about it. But this machine did overheat on me, where I could actually smell some burning. And now it just does this. I'll be able to turn it on, and then it dies. That's it. That's all I got. And then it doesn't turn on again until a little while passes. So I don't know what's going on there. One other thing I want to mention is as far as overall build, again, really pretty, like carbon fiber, nice little handle up top here, just really nice. The couple of things I don't like about it are the battery position. There's not a lot of clearance. And then the trigger itself, in order to pull the trigger, you have to compress the button, pull the trigger. Hey, it came back. Yeah, and then it's dead again. And then you would have to hold it there to keep it locked or released. But every time you want to pull that trigger, you have to hit that too. To me, it's just annoying, not a big deal. People get used to it. It's not a huge deal. Just none of the other ones have that, so that's something to note. Additionally, when we talk about the locking mechanism, although you have to do that to engage the trigger, it is easy to lock into place. That is locked into place, it's just the thing's dying on me. So really easy there. When we go to the flex, this is your button here. And again, it protrudes out pretty nicely. Go ahead and turn it on, push it in. Super, super easy and simple. Pull the trigger again to release it. Nice and easy. The Milwaukee, look at this thing. Protrudes out really, really far, so it makes it super, super simple. Pull the trigger, push it in, good to go, and off. On the Liquid Elements machine, that's the one thing that I wish was a little bit more protruded out. So you can barely see it there. You have to pull the trigger, and you kind of have to like push your thumb into it in order to get it to lock. Not a big deal. Again, something to get used to, but it's just something to know. Now let's go ahead and talk about the ramp up as well. So some machines are, as soon as you pull the trigger, they're on full force, which is fine. Again, it's just something to get used to, but it's nice because then when they don't do that, or when they do that, you potentially could fling product everywhere, right? So all of these have progressive triggers, meaning you can pull the trigger a little bit, starts off slower, and then just kind of feather it and adjust the speed that way. On speed, here we go. We're gonna pull it on. See how it started slow and then fired up, but very, very quickly. Very nice. The Milwaukee, kind of similar. It's almost just fully on. The Liquid Elements has quite a long delay, which is actually kind of nice once you get used to it. So here we go. So as you can hear, it's actually a very linear increase all the way across. Feels really, really precise and nice. One other thing to note about this new one is in the past, they've talked about it where it's a German brand, Liquid Elements, designed and engineered in Germany, but then I believe they were made in China. This new one on the box doesn't say made in China anywhere. I don't know if they still are or if they moved production to Germany. I have no idea on that, so I apologize. Regardless though, if it's made in China or Germany, I don't care as long as the machine performs the way as it should. You know, obviously China has an absolute plethora of factories and they make some fantastic quality products. So depending on the factory, and this one seems phenomenal. All right, now let's go ahead and get into the rest of the testing. All right, guys, so first up, we're gonna take a measuring tape here and we're gonna measure the overall length of each machine because the Rupes was very famous for being a very, very compact unit here. So we're gonna go from the tip, okay, down to the bottom of the battery, and we are at roughly 18 inches for the Rupes with the battery installed. Moving on to the Flex, now they did kind of follow suit in keeping this unit pretty compact, so we're right about there. Wow, I'm shocked. It's actually more compact. Again, that's not really from the center of the pad, but it's from the tip of the handle to the end of the battery. We're at like just about 17 and a half inches. Very, very impressive. Moving on to the Milwaukee. Now I have a 6 amp hour battery on here. I don't know if, I think they're all the same height, so I don't think that matters, but this isn't known for being a super compact unit anyway. So there's to the end of the unit, all the way down. We're about 19 and a half. And then finally for the new Liquid Elements A4500 Pro, that's about there. And just about 19 and a half as well. So as far as overall length, the Milwaukee and the Liquid Elements are about the same. The Flex is actually coming in at the shortest, but as you can see, like the head of this unit sticks out a little bit more, which is kind of nice, versus the Flex actually sticks out a good amount too from the actual center of the pad. It's just not as much as that one. So 17 and a half inches and 18 inches. All right, guys, now next up, which I think is extremely important, is the clearance of the machine. So if you look at this one, this is the only one where the battery is mounted forward to backward, right? All the other ones are mounted side to side. And what that does is it gives you way more clearance, as you can see here, versus where the pad would sit. On the Rupes, this is one thing that I don't like about this machine is it doesn't look like there's much clearance. So what we're gonna do is lay the pad flat, and I'm gonna measure a distance from the top of the table to the battery, because when you get on a curved surface of a vehicle, that actually does make a difference, right? So, all right, we got it flat there. Yeah, guys, we are, geez, that's kind of insane. Half an inch of clearance. So that's one of the things I was like, why did they mount the battery like that? It's interesting to me. So half an inch of clearance for that one. Now, please keep in mind, guys, half an inch sounds like nothing, and it is nothing. But normally you have a pad on here, so that's gonna add a bunch of clearance as well. So although I don't like the battery positioning and it can get in the way, it's not something that makes this an unusable polisher at all. This is a great polisher. Again, I'm having issues with mine right now, but overall, I think it's a really good unit. All right, now moving on to the flex, same thing. We're gonna flatten the pad right there. We're gonna measure let's see, is that flat? Okay. 2 1/4 inches, just because there's these little parts that stick off here a little bit, if you can see that. Otherwise, it's about 2 1/2, but 2 1/4 inches for the flex. The Milwaukee, get that pad flat. Just barely under 2 inches. And we're gonna call it 2 inches. 2 inches of clearance there. So right now, the flex is in the lead on that. And then finally on the liquid elements, keep that flat. And we're flat there. I would call it 1 3/4 of an inch. So the winner there, I'm actually shocked by this. The winner there is going to be the flex again, the most clearance out of all of them. Now, if you look at the head of this thing, sure, it's a lot thicker, but it does give you the most amount of clearance. It is a fine balance too, because once you add that pad, does it get a little bit top heavy? That's all preference though, and something to get used to over time. So I'm not gonna judge anything on that. All right, guys, so we have the 4 polishers lined up right here. We're gonna go ahead and weigh them. No pad, no battery. This is just purely the weight of the polisher because I don't have equivalent batteries for each. So we're just gonna do the weight of the polisher. But as you can see, we've got the scale teared out to pounds and ounces. We're gonna start off with the Rupes. Again, absolutely beautiful machine, really lightweight, nice and compact. Let's see here, 4 pounds, 1.5 ounces. So again, in the hand, this one feels probably the lightest to me. Next up is the Flex 24-volt system. 4 pounds, 9.9 ounces. Okay, we're gonna move on to the Milwaukee. There it is. 5 pounds, 6.6 ounces. That's actually shocking to me. It doesn't feel that heavy, guys, but, or maybe I'm just used to it, but it's considerably heavier than those. And last one up is the Liquid Elements, coming in at 4 pounds, 13.7 ounces. So lighter than the Milwaukee, heavier than the rest, but still they're all within a pound of each other, which can make a big difference over a certain amount of time, right? That will add some fatigue. All right, guys, now another thing I want to talk about is the backing plates themselves, compression to them, ventilation, all that kind of good stuff. Now, this is an interesting thing to me, and I don't know this, guys. I don't know the reasoning behind it. Typically, you always think of backing plates to have a little bit of substrate to them, so there's some sponge to it, and then also holes for ventilation, right? So as you can see on the Milwaukee, we got a ton of that. On the Liquid Elements, not as much as the Milwaukee, but still plenty. Nice soft backing plate. And as you can see, those little holes on the side is where it vents out of, right? So it keeps the pad surface and the pad cooler to the touch because it's not trapping all that heat in. So as you can see on the Milwaukee, it doesn't exit the sides. It is, you can see under here, exits out the back. I like the idea of it exiting out the side just because I don't want to heat up the motor area as much. When we talk about the Flex, as you can see, there's really not a lot of ventilation here. However, we do have this whole area and there is some ventilation here, it looks like. So there looks like to be some sort of cooling system in there, and plus you have way more distance, so it would keep the pad, wouldn't keep it cooler because you're heating the surface of it, but it seems like there's some sort of technology there. I just don't know exactly what it is. Not nearly as much ventilation though as the other two. And then finally the Rupes, and this is, this is true on their newer units. As you can see, the backing plate is super thin and hard. Now this is designed to be used with their pads, so they did think about that. But as far as cooling goes, I don't see anything for ventilation. And again, the overheating issue with this machine that I've been having, I don't know if it has anything to do with that or not, but I did have issues with this. So now it's time to test the vibration of these machines. Now, one way to do it is just letting you know anecdotally what I feel, right? But I wanted to create some way to kind of show you guys a visual representation of what I'm feeling. So I downloaded a seismograph app to my phone. And basically what that does is the seismograph measures earthquakes, right? So it measures vibration in the ground. I'm going to take my phone that has it on there, I'm going to tape it onto the surface, and we're going to run the machines and see how much vibration there is. It kind of averages out over time. And what I'll do is I'll reset it. I'll turn the machine all the way on, reset it, and then let it run so we get a full accurate reading, as accurate as I can while holding it. Now, one thing that I am going to do is I'm not going to put this on a panel because the vibration, I don't know. If a pad's not centered, it's going to create more vibration. If it's, you know, especially when you're up against the panel. If you kind of angle it a little bit more, it's going to create more vibration because you have some resistance there. So I'm just going to place a pad on, center it as best as I can to each of these machines. It's all going to be the same pad, and I went with a buff and shine edge guard pad because there's no conflict there, right? Buff and Shine isn't producing a polisher anywhere in this lineup. I didn't want to use a Rupes pad because Rupes is in this. I didn't want to use a Flex pad because Flex is in this. Don't want to use a Liquid Elements pad for the same reason. So we're going to be using a Buff and Shine edge guard pad, and it's their black soft finishing pad. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the Flex machine. Anecdotally here, guys, this one has the most vibration to me. Now, when we talk about trying to get this as equal of a playing field as possible, I want to try and run them at about the same RPM. So I've got some notes here with me, and again, I can't test the Rupes machine in this instance because it is currently not working for me. Now, again, we're going to be starting with the Flex machine, and right on the back here, they state dial speed and the relation to oscillations per minute, which is awesome. However, the other machines are listed in rotations per minute. What's the difference there? Well, because this is a free spinning back, it's a dual action polisher, the rotation is here, but the oscillation can spin more. So I looked it up, and the 8100, let's see here, what is it listed? 8700 oscillations per minute is equivalent to about 4,350. Now, when we go to the Milwaukee, they have them listed right here. Again, rotations per minute. So we will scale this down. We'll run this at about, let's see, that one's 4,350. So we'll run it at 4,400 to be as equal as we possibly can. And finally, on the Liquid Elements machine, again, 4,000 is right there. That would be about 4,250, and then 4,500 is the max. So we're just going to run it at full speed at 4,500 because, again, at the higher speed, I would assume that that's going to be the most vibration. All right, guys, as I said, here is my Buff and Shine Edge Guard polishing pad. This is a 5-inch for all the 5-inch polishers here, but it's got this little lip on it, as you can see here. So it helps you line up the pad a little bit, and then also if you were to bump aside, you got some protection there. So I'm gonna go ahead and line this up. Still not 100% easy to line up, but it's really close. Yeah, that one fills in perfectly. So if you look at that, there's no gap around it. Pretty much perfect all the way around. Again, this one was at, let's see here, 4,350 rotations per minute at full speed. So that's what we're gonna run. I'm gonna go ahead and tape on my phone. Again, I understand this isn't the most controlled environment and all that kind of stuff, but I want to create some sort of way to show you guys visually what I'm feeling. And again, this one does feel like it has the most vibration. All right, guys, so here is the seismograph. Hopefully you can see this. I don't know if it's going to adjust or not, but basically it's showing a chart of lines like an earthquake, you know, where you see the spikes or a lie detector test, whatever. When you shake it, those lines increase significantly. So what I'm going to do is, again, I have this taped on into a solid position. I'm going to run the machine. This is at full speed, so we're getting that 4,350 or so oscillations per minute, or sorry, rotations per minute. So we're in line with the others, and we'll see what the average is. Again, there's a reset button here, so as I start it, I'll let it get to full speed. I'll hit the reset, and that'll give us our actual vibration number. All right, guys, so here we go. I'm going to go, I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if let me see if I can adjust this so you guys can see it better. There we go, okay? So as you can see, there was a lot of movement there. When I shake it, you can see the spikes there. So again, I'm just gonna hold it level, right? So we get a nice consistency there. And that's where I'm gonna let it go. So I'm gonna turn it on and then I'll reset it. Jeez. So hopefully you guys can see this. And it's this average number up here that I'm really concerned with, and right now it's sitting at 0.9 as the average. Okay? 0.9 is our average for the flex machine at full power, which is roughly 4,300-ish RPMs. All right, now next up, I'm gonna go ahead and switch the pad over to the Milwaukee. Again, line this thing up as close as I possibly can. Now, the backing plates are not the same size exactly, guys. This backing plate is quite a bit smaller than the flex was. Let me go ahead and line this up as accurately as I can. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So, but as you can see here, there is a gap between where this one sits and the other one sat. Okay, so there you go, guys. We're on the Milwaukee machine. You can see shaking, shaking, shaking. You can see the spikes there. So again, we're gonna run this at 4,400, so it's on par with the other one. I'm gonna go ahead and lock it into place, and then I'm gonna hit the reset. This is very, very interesting. Hang on. As you can see, it's fluctuating up and down. To me, that's telling me that the pad may not be on centered, so let me try and recenter it again. All right, guys, recentered it. Here we go again. And I'm gonna hit reset. So hopefully you guys can see that. And we are sitting at a 0.8 average, 0.8. So it's interesting. So I actually find that super, super interesting. It's kind of like the other one was just steady vibrations. This one is kind of a wavelength to it. However, it is still coming in at a lower average number. And to me, again, like I said, it does feel smoother than the other one. Let's go ahead and move on to the Liquid Elements. All right, here is the Liquid Elements machine. Let me go ahead and scale this back on color so you guys can see the readings, hopefully. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and fire this on. Again, this is at 4,500. Okay, it's on. We're gonna go ahead and reset. Hopefully you guys can see this. Hopefully. Average of 0.3, guys. 0.3. Very, very smooth machine. So guys, that tells me two different things. One is that my little test there reflects what I'm feeling, which I'm very excited about. Sometimes you do things like, this should translate, and it doesn't. That did. The flex felt the most vibration to me, and that's what it shows on the seismograph. This feels the smoothest, and it was considerably less than the others, like 0.3 versus 0.8 and 0.9. Really, really smooth machine. And obviously 0.2 is just an extension of that. It's just proving to me that this thing is as smooth as I thought it would be. So there you have it, guys. Fantastic, fantastic polishers here. Any one of these you go with, you're gonna be happy with. Now, again, the Rupes is currently broken, but while it was working, it was great. There's a few pet peeve things on that one to me that I don't like, but other people that use, it's one of those things you get used to. So if you have it and you like it, perfect. That's absolutely perfect. What I'm trying to communicate here is if you're looking to buy a polisher, again, the 15 millimeter is kind of like, for me, that's the best entry point. You're gonna get a lot of correction, but still not get a lot of stall when you're going across curved panels, 5-inch backing plate. It's just good. It's a great all-around machine. And I wanted to compare these so you guys can have a better educated, informed decision when you're going to buy one. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you're subscribed, turn on the notification bell, and we will see you guys on the next one.